One of the hardest parts of getting older isn't your knees slowing down. It's watching the people you love disappear from your daily life. No one warns you about this part. You expect the birthdays, the wrinkles, the doctor's appointments, but you don't expect how quiet the phone gets. How holidays start to feel smaller. How a laugh you used to hear every week is now just an echo in your memory. It's a strange kind of loneliness, one that isn't fixed by simply getting out more. Because the people you've lost weren't just friends, they were witnesses to your life. They knew your stories without you having to tell them. And yet, even in the middle of that ache, I've seen people not just survive this stage of life, but stay mentally strong, connected, and even joyful. They didn't replace the friends they lost. They learned how to carry them forward while still making room for what's ahead. Today, we'll talk about 6 ways to protect your mind and heart when you've outlived people you thought you'd grow old with. And the last one on this list? It's the habit that can quietly turn loneliness into something a little closer to peace. Acknowledge the grief. Don't rush it. People kept telling me to stay strong, said Harold, 89. I didn't realize that letting myself cry was part of being strong. When you outlive friends, there's an unspoken pressure to move on quickly. Others may mean well, but phrases like, "They wouldn't want you to be sad," or "At least they lived a long life," can make you feel like your grief has an expiration date. Grief isn't just sadness. It's the process of reorganizing your life after someone's absence. That takes time, and the older you are, the more those losses can stack up, making the weight feel heavier. The Mayo Clinic notes that suppressing grief can increase stress, anxiety, and even physical health problems. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes constant effort, and eventually it bursts to the surface. Acknowledging grief means giving yourself permission to feel it fully. That might mean talking openly about your loss, journaling memories, or visiting places you shared. It might mean allowing a quiet day to just miss them. Harold started setting aside a few minutes each morning to think about his friend George, not to wallow, but to honor him. It's like saying good morning to him, even now, he said. The point isn't to live in the grief forever, but to let it move through you naturally. When you acknowledge it instead of rushing it away, it becomes part of your story and your strength instead of something that silently drains you. Because being strong doesn't mean you don't break down. It means you don't pretend you're made of stone. Keep their stories alive. When I tell one of her old jokes, it's like she's right there laughing with me, said Louise, 87, about her best friend of 60 years. Losing a friend doesn't mean losing every part of them. The memories you shared, the trips, the inside jokes, the late-night talks are still yours. And telling those stories isn't dwelling in the past, it's keeping their spirit alive in your present. In fact, psychologists at the University of California have found that storytelling can help with grief by reinforcing positive emotions connected to the person you've lost. It's a way of keeping the bond intact, even when the physical presence is gone. Louise started a little ritual. Whenever her grandchildren visit, she slips in a Margaret story, like the time they tried to bake bread without yeast and ended up with something closer to a brick. The kids laugh, ask questions, and now Margaret is part of their memories too, even though they never met her. You can do the same. Share your friends' favorite sayings, cook a recipe they loved, or pass down something that belonged to them along with the story behind it. This isn't about clinging to what was, it's about carrying what mattered forward. Because when you keep their stories alive, you're not just honoring them, you're allowing their light to keep shining in the world through you. As Louise told me, the day I stop talking about her is the day I really lose her, and I'm not ready for that. Expand your circle. I thought new friends couldn't possibly measure up to the ones I'd lost, admitted Frank, 85. Turns out they didn't need to. They brought something different. When you've lost people who knew you for decades, it's natural to feel like no one new could ever fill that space, and they can't, not in the same way. But that doesn't mean new connections can't add meaning, joy, and companionship to your life in this chapter. The Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies on happiness, found that strong social ties at any age can boost mental health, lower stress, and even increase longevity. And here's the good news. Those benefits don't depend on how long you've known someone. Expanding your circle doesn't require replacing old friends. It can mean joining a book club, volunteering at a local cause, attending a community class, or simply saying yes to more invitations, even the ones that feel a little out of your comfort zone. Frank started meeting with a group of retirees at the local cafe. At first, it was just small talk over coffee. Over time, those casual chats turned into weekly game nights, shared birthdays, and a new kind of closeness. Old friends hold your history, Frank told me, but new friends give you a future. It's not about finding someone like the friend you lost. It's about opening the door so new people can walk in and bring with them laughter and memories you haven't made yet. Anchor yourself in routine. After my last close friend passed, my days felt like they were floating away from me, said Eleanor, 86. Getting back into a routine was like tying them down so they wouldn't drift. When you lose someone, especially a longtime friend, the rhythm of your life can suddenly feel offbeat. You're not just grieving the person, you're grieving the routines you shared. Maybe it was a weekly lunch date, a Sunday phone call, or walking together at the park. When those markers disappear, time can feel unmoored. That's why creating a new routine is so important. The National Institute of Mental Health notes that structure can help reduce feelings of anxiety and depression by giving the brain a sense of predictability and control. Two things that grief tends to steal. Your routine doesn't have to be rigid or packed. It might be as simple as a morning walk, reading at the same time each day, tending to a small garden, or having coffee at the same cafe. These anchors help shape your day, giving it form and purpose, even when emotions feel heavy. Eleanor began each morning by making tea, sitting by the window, and writing down one thing she wanted to do that day. It gave me a reason to get dressed, to start moving, she said. Routine isn't about keeping life busy, it's about keeping life steady. And in times of loss, steady can feel a lot like strong. Have a purpose that pulls you forward. When my best friend died, I felt like the last page of my story had been written, said George, 90. Then I realized I could still add chapters. Losing close friends can make life feel smaller, like the world has closed in a little. It's easy to slip into the mindset that your best days are behind you. But purpose is the antidote to that feeling, and it's one of the most powerful protectors of mental health in later life. Research from the Rush University Medical Center's Memory and Aging Project found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose were less likely to develop cognitive decline, depression, and even physical disability. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It just has to give you a reason to get up and move towards something. For some, that purpose might be volunteering, mentoring younger people, or caring for a pet. For others, it could be creative work, writing, painting, gardening, learning a new skill. It might even be as simple as committing to brighten one person's day, every day. George started restoring old radios in his garage. It kept his hands busy, his mind sharp, and gave him a sense of accomplishment. Plus, he donated the finished radios to local history museums and schools. It felt like I was putting a little piece of myself into the future, he said. When loss pulls you back, purpose pulls you forward. And sometimes, that's the very thing that keeps you standing. Take care of your emotional fitness. People tell you to keep your body strong, said Maria, 88. But no one tells you your mind needs a workout too. When you lose close friends, the emotional hit can be just as exhausting as any physical illness. And just like your body needs regular movement to stay healthy, your emotional resilience needs intentional care to stay strong. The Mayo Clinic notes that activities like mindfulness, therapy, journaling, and social connection can all help regulate emotions, reduce stress, and protect against depression. Think of it as cross-training for your mind, using different tools to strengthen different parts of your emotional health. For Maria, emotional fitness meant 3 things: writing in a gratitude journal every evening, practicing deep breathing when she felt overwhelmed, and making sure she spoke to at least one person every day, even if it was just a quick chat with the cashier at the grocery store. Other ways to build emotional fitness include joining a support group, spending time in nature, pursuing hobbies that fully absorb your attention, or exploring spiritual practices that bring you comfort. The key is consistency. Just like you wouldn't expect one gym visit to keep you in shape forever, you can't expect one uplifting conversation to keep your spirits high indefinitely. It's a daily habit, a choice to tend to your mental and emotional well-being. Because when life feels heavy, your emotional strength is what lets you carry it without breaking. Losing friends you thought you'd grow old with changes you. It shifts the shape of your days, the rhythm of your routines, even the way the world feels. But it doesn't have to take away your ability to live fully, love deeply, and find meaning in what's ahead. Grieve openly. Keep their stories alive. Let new people into your circle. Anchor yourself in a routine that steadies you. Find a purpose that pulls you forward. And tend to your emotional fitness like the precious resource it is. These aren't just coping strategies. They're acts of honoring the people you've lost by continuing to live in a way they'd be proud of. A friend's voice may fade from your ears, but it can still echo in your choices, your laughter, and the way you show up in the world. And if you've felt the weight of being the one left behind, there's one more surprising source of comfort I've seen over and over. A place many seniors discover late in life that restores their sense of belonging, even after profound loss. That's in my next video. Because you may have outlived your friends, but you haven't outlived your ability to feel connected.